everyone. We have Santosh Bhatt with us. Santosh founded Thingsha Foundation with a vision to bridge the rural and urban education divide. He has worked over 10 years in the financial sector before starting up. He is also a recipient of multiple awards like Digital Trailblazer by India Today, Ganapreet Chakra by United Nations, and the Top 100 Social Innovators by CSRT. Welcome, Santosh.
Thank you, Santosh. What a coincidence. I'm
Yeah,
also Santosh, and you're also Santosh.
lot of satisfaction in this call. Great, yeah. So I think our viewers would love to learn more about Thingsha Foundation and how it is helping the education landscape.
Okay, Thingsha Foundation is a non-profit organization which I founded in 2011 with simple, with the giving back to society approach. I mean, yes, there is a story behind it, which maybe we can cover in our discussion. But the primary work of Thingsha Foundation is to improving the quality of education in rural schools, especially the schools which are owned by the state government. We call them Jilla Parishad School in Maharashtra. So we all know, majority of the children from the villages, they are enrolled to the village school itself. And the kind of quality education which is there, which is not very satisfied, and that has been proved by various reports from both center and central government, uh, and various other agencies as well. So our intervention with the school is to provide them modern facilities and infrastructure so that we can improve the quality of education. So there are a couple of intervention which we are doing with the school, including digital learning. We all understand how important, especially in this pandemic, the digital learning is. Then also we have another intervention called Computer Mitra, which is a computer education, teaching computer basic skills to the children. Then we have another program called Modular Library, which is where we provide access to various wonderful books, especially the non-academic books, which children always love to read beyond their textbooks. Then we have another program called Solar Shala, because we understood, providing them a digital infrastructure will not just solve the problem, because electricity is again a challenge in most of the villages. Even though they have the electricity connection, but it does not mean they have the uninterrupted electricity supply. So we started this Solar Shala program where we're electrifying the school with the help of solar energy so that they will have a 24/7 electricity supply. And then also we conduct various workshops and trainings and capacity building for the teachers. We work very closely with the school management committee, the entire Gram Panchayat and the parents to make sure that every children from that village is enrolled to the school, and and the children from that village enroll to the village school itself, not to the any private school, so that there will be no financial burden on their parents as well. At present, we have reached more than 65 schools across the Maharashtra. No, 8,000 plus children so far benefiting from all our interventions. And we are aiming to reach at least 500 more rural schools in the period of next 5 years. That's what the Thingsha Foundation does, and we are aiming to improve the quality of education in rural public schools across the Maharashtra.
There's quite a lot of powerful work that you're doing out there, Santosh. Thank you for that. What triggered you to move in this direction?
Okay, see, there are a few incidents. My background, which is one of the the major, I would say, the reason which I why I started Thingsha Foundation. I born and brought up in a small village. That village uh, is located in the district Bid in Maharashtra, in Marathwada region. This region is almost kind of not very well developed compared to the other parts of the Maharashtra. The Vidarbha and Marathwada both are less developed. They have a less opportunities, and the lack of infrastructure. So my entire schooling, so from schooling to my university education, I did complete my schooling or the entire education from the rural and the semi-urban institutes, where we always faced, challenge to access the quality education. Um, Whereas, in other hand, the students who were studying into the urban schools, they were fortunate to have easy access to the, the modern facilities. And this I realized when I moved to Mumbai after my engineering course. And when I started applying to the jobs, and always I got rejected. I pushed back because I was lack of the various skills, including English, the communication, technical skills, and that was really demotivating for me, that why I'm not able to select, or why I'm lacking in so many things. And yes, that was one part that which always triggered me to work towards the society, giving back to the society whatever the best I can do. And then another reason was when I was doing my MBA course in Mumbai, because that was the one opportunity which I received to get enrolled into the the world class or the state of the art institute in Mumbai. And there also I faced the similar challenge, because most of my friends or the classmates, they were really ahead of me in terms of their communication, presentation skills, technical knowledge. And I was always at backbencher, and looking at them, how I mean they are made so much progress. And then I realized, yes, it was an matter of the opportunity, because they had a easy opportunity, easy access during their school time, and they learned quickly. But unfortunately, that same access is not available in the rural area. So that was another, the trigger moment where I thought, no, I mean, something we have to do to improve the quality of education in the rural areas as well. And during when I was doing my full-time job into the financial sector in 2011, I decided to, start a non-profit organization. And when I was doing my job, I was similar at the same time I was working on mostly on the weekend. I was working on the ThinkShop Foundation to, setting up these our various activities in different parts of the Maharashtra. And that's how my own experience, my own journey triggered me to start working on this the social cause.
That's a very yeah, compelling journey. So I'm sure you this traveling this journey, you can't do this alone. So how do you do it? Do you have volunteers with you who kind of amplify the work that you're doing? How is the volunteering piece working for you?
Yes, fortunately, we are driven by volunteers. We are a small team, including just two full-time staff and me. So, but most of our work is done by volunteers, and we are really glad to have volunteers from the different industry, whether it's IT, media, fundraising. So we have a good pool of volunteers from corporate and individual as well. So most of our, I would say, more than 50% our task is done by volunteers, be it fundraising, be it IT support, be it social media, or be it content creation. So I'm really glad that we have a really good volunteer supporting us. Even the legal and compliance, which is really important, being in a social sector. So that is also done by the volunteers. So yes, we have a really good volunteers with us, and they are doing excellently good job. One good example of volunteering, which recently during this pandemic. So we were in need of some education app which can be really delivered to the smartphone, because the student doesn't have physical books at their home because of this pandemic situation. Schools are closed, so their reading is literally impacted. So we thought of having this application, but unfortunately, being a non-profit, we always have a short funds, especially if we need to develop a new product or prototype or service. So then we reach out to the iVolunteer, which is an organization who does provide the skill and quality volunteers. And fortunately, we connect with a volunteer from Delhi. His name is Aman Pasricha. You won't believe he's just a second year student in engineering, and he made this application called DigiLibrary, where we have given him inputs what the application should be, and within a just I think a month time, he made it everything available, and now the application is available on the Play Store. We have a more than 2,000 plus downloads across the country, not just in Maharashtra. We have a books in category of poems, history, STEM, in three different language: Marathi, English, and Hindi. And recently the Midday newspaper and Nav Bharat surveyed, and the application they rated top 10 application in education apps. So this is how the volunteering really works. And we have not just this one example, we have many such examples where the volunteering has really benefited in our progress, and creating good impact to providing quality education. So yes, ThinkShop is really, glad, and we are really happy that we have such a good pool of volunteers from across the globe, not just from the country, but we have volunteers from different part of the world as well.
That's really, really nice. So one of the key challenges leaders face is to motivate their team, and volunteers is even a tougher piece because they are not paid; they are volunteering. So how do you,
Yes.
as a leader, motivate motivate volunteers?
So it's really challenging. It's as you correctly said. But what at ThinkShop, or at how I, as a leader, make sure that it works is trust. See, in social sector, everything is depend, or everything works on the trust. When somebody join a social sector, development sector, they join with the one belief that they want to bring some change in society, and another is uh, they have a trust, or they have a faith in people. So similarly, whenever somebody wants to volunteer with us, or anybody who wants to join with ThinkShop Foundation, we make sure that we earn the trust of that person, and similarly we give the ownership of their work. So I make sure that whenever team is working on any project, any innovation, or volunteer working, we give complete freedom and ownership of that project to that person. And third is, we make any volunteer or our team member to think like an entrepreneur. They don't think like just an employee or a paid employee, uh, especially for our the ThinkShop Foundation team, who is a full-time team working on various projects. So they are like an entrepreneurs. When we give them any project to work on, they make sure that that project belongs to them. They work like it is their own idea. So that's how we have created the really positive and creative environment within the team, and that same we apply to the when there is a volunteering project outside the ThinkShop Foundation. So that's really no, 2 to 3 key, I would say, parameters which we apply within the ThinkShop and even outside when there is a volunteering. So yes, it is really worked. And as a volunteer, I make sure that I carry these qualities and the parameters whenever there is a we need to apply, especially to make sure that the team really work very well. And the fourth one is which is really important is when our team is working, we make sure that they feel themselves as a leader. We don't make sure that they are just manager or the team team member. So we make sure that they also become a leader, because as a leader, your job is to make others leaders, not just to make others manager or just team members who work effectively on your project, but you have to make sure that you make them leader as well. So I think that is something which I really carry being a leader.
Really strong, powerful words. Leaders create leaders. So thank you, Santosh. Last year, I remember you had conducted some drives around collecting mobiles and tabs to help children who don't have the infrastructure. What was your experience like, and how did you achieve that goal of yours?
So that was really something unfortunate for everyone. Last time when in the month of March 20, when this pandemic hit across the globe, and yes, in India as well. And suddenly, all schools shut down because of the fear of this coronavirus. And children have left with no option, to left their study because everyone was focusing on just of their health. And when we realized that this is not a good option because there was a study which was published that if they miss this learning opportunity, probably it is very difficult to again bring back them to the education system, because once they lose the interest in study, it is very difficult again to create that interest and that spirit among the school children, especially in the rural. Because what happens if they get engaged in some income generation activities, which normally because of this pandemic, parents getting involve their children to the income generation activities in farming activities. So it is difficult to bring back them to the education system. So what we did, we started the project homeschool with the help of another partner organization, Tribes for Good, who help us to fundraise and get good volunteers to start learning sessions as well. So we started the project homeschools where we distributed tablets and a smartphone with the enable with the learning material both online and offline, and as well as the internet connectivity, because without internet connectivity it is half job done kind of. So we made sure that all smartphone or tablets are connected with the internet with the help of SIM card. Unfortunately, we could not reach to all the students where we are working with in all our partner schools, because most of our schools are really in the remote areas where there is no at all internet connectivity available. So we just reached couple of schools where the internet connectivity is available, and we provided them tablets and smartphones so that they can connect back to the education, and they started their academic session regularly with the help of the Zoom and the Google Meet, where teachers conducted the regular sessions. And also we involved a bunch of corporate volunteers where we started non-academic sessions, especially English learning, math, also the art and craft, film making. So the couple of more sessions we conducted for them. I think we reached close to 200 children from three different schools near Pune and Mumbai, and that was one of our initiative during the pandemic. And also which I recently talked about, the DigiLibrary app, which was another innovation during this pandemic, to make sure that every children have access to wonderful books when sitting at their home. So that was our work during this pandemic, especially to provide them online access to the education.
Amazing. So what according to you are the core leadership values that have helped you in this journey so far?
Okay, I think I just shared a few bits on the leadership as well. See, everybody has a different, perspective looking at the leadership. As I said, for me, leadership is always, carrying the trust. Until unless you don't carry the trust, people will not stay with you, and that every leader should have, should carry the trust and faith, being it's a development sector, corporate, or the politics, whatever it could be. So trust is really important, and when you lose the trust, I think it's just a matter of days. People will just leave you, and you will, with no option, you will be alone working on your ideas. And second, as I said, the people who are working with you or surrounding with you, we have to make them the leader of tomorrow's. And I think that is what something, two core value I always carry with me, building trust and making others leader. So I think all my team members, I make sure that I don't know tomorrow. I mean, probably I'll tomorrow I'll continue or discontinue working on this project. Maybe I'll engage with something else. I will be there, not there. But the journey should be continued. The think shop should be continued, and that is only possible if you make your team or your managers as a second generation or second layer of leaders. So these two core values are really, really important according to me, and which I carry throughout my journey.
So, Santosh, personal question. Your first job, and do you have any leader who's really inspired you in the initial days?
Yes, fortunately, being into the corporate sector of almost 12 years in financial sector, that's true. Financial sector, you must be aware that it's really challenging. And I was into the sales and marketing, so it was always on the field job. There was lots of pressure, especially because in sales, we all know how the sales pressure is, maintaining your MIS, closing your leads and achieving your targets. It's always tough. But yes, I remember, two gentlemen and two, I would say, my seniors. One was, I would name Mr. Somya Ranjan when I was working with Reliance Capital. He was, my senior at that point of time, and who really inspired me. The kind of dedication he used to have towards his work, the kind of implementation and the honesty towards his work. I really appreciate. I learned a lot from him, especially the discipline, especially how he used to track his work, how he used to work on the MIS, because that is really important when you are into the sales. And the second is when I was working with the Magma FinCorp, Mr. Ram, who was a general manager at that point of time. I think he was a great inspiration to me in my entire journey in corporate sector. I think there were so many things which I learned from him. One example I would like to give: when I joined this company, Magma FinCorp, I think in 2015. The first 2 months, it's difficult to understand the culture of organization, the people working with you, and there are lots of challenges which you go through. But the first 2 months, he just make sure that, Santosh, you just learn the things, whatever the best you can do. There is no target to you. You will only be observer, and you will be just only be a learner during these first 2 months. I think that was the really inspiration for me, that it's like you are taking a salary, just sitting on the chair without doing anything. I think nobody will allow you to just learn in an organization, and that to in your first 2 months. So I think he made me very clear that, Santosh, learning is always should be there, whether it is your employee, you are a boss, or whatever the sector you are. So you should keep learning. And he made me understand about how the importance of the having the right MIS, uh, and making sure that how you are bonding with your team, and which I just now shared, the core value of the leadership, building the leaders. And that's what I learned from him, building the leaders within your team, within your organization. He always made sure that we also become a leader, and that's how he treated us. That's how he inspired us. So I really thankful to Mr. Somya Ranjan and Mr. Ram, who really inspired me during my corporate journey.
Amazing. How they stay with you. MIS, you mentioned MIS twice. What is your leadership style? MIS, or do you go for a cup of tea, or do you catch up? What works better for you now? Because it's a very different environment.
Okay. Even though I know how important is MIS, but still I believe in the second. having a cup of tea or coffee and catch ups. But I know, in every domain, whether it's a development sector, corporate, or any other, MIS has a really, special position and special importance, especially if you are aiming to work not just a startup, but if you are aiming to work as an enterprise, if you want to making to build an enterprise which will work generation and generation, maybe. So I think that point of time it is really important to have a good MIS, because that is the only tracking mechanism to make sure that whether your ideas or your implementation are working, not working, whether you are creating positive impact, negative impact through your work. So I think yes, MIS has a really good value, but I intend to in the second category. But I also understand at that how MIS is important.
Leaning towards a bit of both. Okay,
Yes.
great. Social media, how has that helped you and to take your leader engagement forward? And tell us a bit about that journey.
So I think social media has a really good value, and it is whatever Thingsha Foundation today has or build the trust or the image in the social sector is because of the our social media communication. I think from the day one, I understood the power of social media, and that's what we try to implement through our different social media communication, whether it be as Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn. So we made a very good presence across all these platforms. We make sure that we have a very good engagement with our followers, then the followers who converted into donors, and from one-time donors who just now converted to the monthly or regular donors. So I think the social media really help us not just connect with the donors, but to connect with uh, you know uh, the various stakeholders, including volunteers, including the supporting organizations, the partner organizations who working with us, whether they are for profit or non-profit organization. And obviously it helps us to build a brand. So yes, social media has a really good power, and during this pandemic, I think that is the only way to reach out to the the people, whether it's you are asking a support, both either it's a monetary or non-monetary, but social media is the only tool which we are using to reach to the to the people across the all the domains. So I think yes, it really has a really uh, power to build your brand and reach to the right audience.
So I can tell our viewers if they have any challenges with social media, they can reach out to you and Thingsha Foundation for some
Yes,
tips on
and
how
I
it
think
is.
it's the only way, the free way, I would say. Yes, social media has a both the paid and the free version available, but I think it is up to you how you want to take it. We fortunately we are using all the free tools available, and thanks to the people like you who has created a good number of tools which can the social sector can use. Uh, and I think so that is up to the organization and the founder and the team whether they should have a paid or the free version. But yes, without social media, it is difficult to survival nowadays.
Great. Now, another personal question. The toughest decision you had to take in your personal life and how did you take it?
Okay, there were two decisions, I would say. One is leaving my corporate job and doing full time with ThinkShop Foundation. So that was a really tough decision for me because I was earning a good salary, uh, and leaving the good salary behind and working in a social sector without salary, because I don't withdraw salary so far. My only expenses are covered from ThinkShop Foundation. So that was really a difficult and toughest decision for me, leaving the full-time corporate job where you had a good bank balance, and now I'm completely in terms of financial safety, I'm dependent on my wife. So that was a really a tough decision for me. And second, where we moved from Paris back to the India. So there were my wife, who is a doctor. She had an opportunity in Paris where she was working there, and I also joined with her, where we both had an opportunity to work there in Paris. I had also work visa, uh, and we decided to come back to India to work on our social project, to work with Thingsha Foundation, because even though we were in Paris, we had a good life there, but our mind and soul were here in India, back to the roots. I think that was the toughest decision, coming back to the India and again work on the Thingsha Foundation. So these two incidents was really difficult for me, but yes, we took those decisions, and we are working here 24/7 to make sure that we reach a last person of our country, last person, or last children of our country, to make sure that they get the quality education.
Yeah, they say about the successful man and the role of the woman. It's also the other way around. So I'm so happy that you both are complementing each other so well.
Yes.
Yes. Now, since you did win the innovation award, my question to you would be: how do you manage innovation in your organization? How do you approach innovation?
See, now for everyone, innovation has a different meaning and definition. Uh, Few says innovation is something which you create something new, probably which doesn't exist. So that is innovation. But according to me, innovation is also probably, there are multiple products and services are available, but that products and service probably are not accessible to the most of the target, or the most of the population. So that is also an innovation where you bring those products and services to them through different approach. Maybe you use a different service, logistic. That is also an innovation. So with ThinkSharp Foundation, we don't have a very innovative product or service, but we make sure that through innovative ways, or through we reach to the children who doesn't have access to those the resources and the infrastructure. So digital learning, something which we don't have any innovative product, but as I said, for them access is also kind of an innovation, because they don't have access to those modern education facilities and infrastructure, so which we are bringing to them, to the to provide them access. That is also an innovation. So innovation has a value for every organization. As I said, innovation has a different meaning. For us, giving access is an innovation. So without innovation, obviously, I mean, it's a difficult, you can't survive if you are, you have a product or service, might be, because you have to be innovative all that point of time, whether it's a pandemic or even if it is a normal way of your working. So yes, you have to be innovative. And fortunately, at ThinkSharp Foundation, all the team members, we make sure that we work together on that innovation. We exchange our thoughts and ideas when you are working on any product or service. We do research. That is something really backbone of any your offer or the product or service before you launch to the market. That we definitely do. And we do the collaborative work with the other partner organization as well. So we make sure that we get all the resources, and then only we launch the product or service to provide the quality education. So that's how we are managing the innovation. I hope I'm
That's
covered
great.
a little
So
bit on the innovation.
yeah,
Though it is a difficult question for me, but I try to answer as much as possible.
No, so innovation again, like you rightly said, doesn't need to be creating something absolutely brand new. It's also about that whole access. Why have you created something, and how are you able to bridge that gap is innovation as well. So that's really powerful. Last year, given the pandemics, one thing which really came out is the area of mental health, and you deal in communities they who are so it's for you, it's not just your immediate team member, it's also about your community and how they are dealing with the whole thing, with joblessness, with lack of access to school. So how are you as a leader coping with that situation? What kind of intervention are you doing, or would you suggest?
So honestly, Santosh, it is not just about the community or the stakeholder we're working with, but honestly, everybody is going through that phase. The mental health, including me, my family, and I'm sure there must be, I mean, everybody, either from the village or from the city, those who are working, those who lost their jobs, or I mean, everybody is going through this mental, kind of challenge, and it is very difficult these days to have that balance. But still, we are trying to, uh, help those communities who doesn't have any other option. So we are bringing them some sessions with the help of our volunteers, where they interact with them and try to understand what phase they are going through and how they can help, to make sure that come out from that uh, mental health, the problem or situation. So we are working on various ways. As such, there is no structure way we are working on particular this subject, but we are trying to create a positive environment among the society by bringing some fun activities to the children, by bringing some good content which where they can engage with that content and probably come out of that mental health problem. Also, we are engaging their parents on various the positive the sessions where they engage with their family when they are sitting at home. So that's how we are doing some exercises. But yes, I think there is a much more scope to work on that, and especially again this second wave which triggered, and I think we need to work more. Everybody needs to work on that mental health problem, being it uh, our own family or being it the stakeholders we are working with.
Yeah, giving them that space to detach from their current reality and to break off and to have that happy moment. It's very, 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 very important.
So
um,
just one example,
yeah.
we some of our children we engage in drama and arts and craft or filmmaking, so that they come out from that the negative thoughts and engage with some with something they really like about it. That's how we are doing some of our exercises to overcome that problem.
Thanks for sharing. Now, coming to success and leadership, how do you measure your success? I'm not saying about your success so far. I'm saying what is your measure of success?
Okay, so for me, success is I don't, I know this, believe in word success, to be very honest. Uh, and I don't know when and where we get success, because every day we work on some problem, some challenge, and we overcome, with some solution on that. If that is a success, then yes, that is a success. But somehow I don't measure the success. But I'm happy that at least we are able to work on the societal problem which we are facing. Everybody, we are working on the in education domain to provide the quality education, and at some extent we are really creating a good impact to reach to reach out to the children who are from the rural communities, to provide them the quality education, resources and facilities. And I'm sure through these various initiatives and through this various intervention, they get the quality education, and tomorrow they will become a responsible citizen of this country. So if that is a success, and then yes, you can say we are successful. But yes, there is a lot to achieve. There is a lot to achieve in coming days. And so for everybody, success is a different definition. For you, success is probably different. For me, success is something different. At an individual level, we calculate success in your financial wealth, or your family satisfaction, your family timing, or maybe at organization level we calculate success. Like for profit organization, they calculate success in their bottom line, how much profit they are earning, and on that basis they says yes, the organization is successful. But in social sector, we calculate success and how many lives we reached or what impact we created. So that is the success for us.
Amazing. Success in others' success. Great. So, final note. I would request you if you could, tell our viewers how to contribute to your efforts, and how their smallest efforts could really amplify and help you achieve the goal.
Okay, so I think this is a good platform to reach out to the audience who are really willing to support during this tough time. So we, as I said, during this pandemic, schools are closed. We are reaching out to as many as students to make sure that they connect back to the education system and their learning will continue. So for that, we required a lot of digital resources, especially the digital gadgets, smartphone, tablets, and also we need volunteers who come forward and engage in different learning activities where they can engage students with, as you correct a few minutes back you said, everybody is going through the mental health problem. So we need a really good volunteers who can work on that, conduct some sessions for our children. So this is the one of the way they can continue, they can contribute. The other way of contribute is we have a different volunteering projects with, we have somebody we need in social media or the IT support. So they can definitely contribute, through their skills. So we have a different projects going on. So I think everybody has some scope to contribute or work with Thingsha Foundation and make some positive impact and positive difference through their skills or through the monetary or non-monetary way.
Absolutely, and this is the time to collaborate, work
Yes.
together. If it's now, or it's never. So, I hope our viewers will reach out to you, and thank you so much, Santosh, for spending this time with us. And we hope this conversation is of immense value to people who watch this. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh, for having me here. It was great pleasure to be on this platform, and I wish you all the best. You're doing wonderful job in social sector. So I think everybody, help and support each other to make sure that we reach to that last person who really need us. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.